Airsoft guns are replica weapons used in airsoft sports. They are essentially a special type of very low-power smoothbore air guns designed to shoot non-metallic spherical projectiles, often colloquially, and incorrectly, referred to as BBS, which are typically made of, but not limited to, plastic or biodegradable resin materials. Airsoft gun power plants are designed to have low muzzle energy ratings, generally less than 1.5 J, or 1.1 FTLB, and the pellets have significantly less penetrative and stopping powers than conventional air guns, and are generally safe for competitive sporting and recreational purposes if proper protective gear is worn. Depending on the design mechanism for pellet propulsion, airsoft gun can be categorized into two groups: mechanical, which consists of a coil spring-loaded piston air pump that is either manually cocked, e.g. spring guns, or automatically cycled by an additional battery-powered electric motor gearbox, e.g. AEGs, and pneumatic, which operates by valve-controlled release of pre-filled bottled gas such as compressed green gas or CO2 canisters, e.g. GBB guns. As toy weapons, airsoft guns can often be designed to realistically resemble genuine firearms in appearance, and it can be very difficult to distinguish from one visually. It is notable that from a technical perspective, airsoft guns simply cannot be modified into real firearms that shoot lethal ammunitions, despite the similar appearance and the moral panic common among the public. Manufacturers. Currently, a large army of airsoft manufacturers are on the market. These include 6mm Pro Shop, AGM, Ares, Armorer Works, WeTech is the OEM, ASG, ANK, APS, Army Armament, ATS, BG Tactical, Bolt, Both Elephant, Classic Army, SeaTac, Cyma, Cybergun, D-Boys, Deep Fire, Double Eagle, DTAC, ENL, Echo 1, EMG, TIER, GNG Armament, GNP, GHK, Hofeng Corp, ICS, Jinggong, Jinpeng, Galaxy, King Arms, KJ Works, Kritak, Qua, which is OEM for KSC, KWC, Lancer Tactical, Lonex, Lucid, Mad Bull Airsoft, LCT. Marushin, Maruzin, Magpul PTS, Matrix, Modify, Pro Arms, RWA, Silesia Factory, SRC, Systema Engineering, Tokyo Marui, Domerex, Elite Force, VFC, WeTech, WeiTech, Well, Western Arms, Crossman, and Wingun. Other companies, such as Aftermath, Crossman, Echo 1, Matrix, and UTG, rebrand and distribute guns, sometimes with other accessories in countries where some manufacturers may not have an established distribution network. Many of the best-selling airsoft guns are highly detailed replicas of real firearms, which are manufactured and designed by companies headquartered in East Asia such as Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and China. However, European and North American brands exist also. Beyond airsoft guns proper, those companies may produce other items like BBS, airsoft grenades, and airsoft landmines, like Airsoft Innovations and S-Thunder, as well as spare parts and a varied range of accessories for the replicas, like scopes, mounts and suppressors. Usage. Airsoft in the past was used almost solely for recreational purposes, but in 2012, gas blowback, GBB, airsoft technology became adopted by U.S. federal and state institutions as an affordable and reliable tactical training tool for close-quarters battles. The GBB guns allowed for correct weapon manipulation drills, muscle memory training, stress inoculation, and force-on-force simulations for a fraction of the cost of conventional bolt conversion kits that use marking cartridges from training ammunition manufacturers such as UTM and Simunition. Airsoft guns also allow basic and advanced shooter training in a safer environment by reducing the risks of accidental injury or death from a negligent discharge. There are clubs, teams, and even athletic associations devoted to airsoft events around the world. Europe is home to some of the largest events, with skirmishes of over 2,000 people participating. In North America, in 2012 alone, Fulda Gap Airsoft game in Taylorsville, North Carolina had over 1,100 participants, and Operation Lion Claw's military simulation series, OLCMS, had 800 people attend at George Air Force Base in Victorville, California. American Milsim, Black Sheep, and Ballahak also host large games. The attraction of the larger games is due to the intensity and variety in equipment that is used, ranging from small arms to armored vehicles. In many countries, every airsoft gun owner and active enthusiast must be affiliated with an accredited airsoft association or federation. Most airsoft players host games at a registered field where combat situations are simulated using airsoft weaponry like replica pistols, submachine guns, carbines/assault rifles, DMRs/sniper rifles, light machine guns, grenades, and landmines. Great variety and profusion of militaria is usually used. Historical reenactment of famous war situations is another favorite of many airsoft players and clubs. In addition, a number of companies such as Systema Engineering and Celsius Technology manufacture ultra-realistic high-velocity airsoft rifles designed specifically for the police and military for non-lethal training purposes. People today can also use it as props for film making. Types of airsoft guns. Spring-powered. Spring-powered airsoft guns, or air-cocking guns as called by Tokyo Marui, are single-shot devices that use the elastic potential energy stored within a compressed coil spring to drive a piston air pump, which is released upon trigger pull and rapidly pressurizes the air within the pump cylinder to in turn blow pellets down the gun barrel. These guns are almost identical, though simplified, in design to spring piston air guns and have the same operation principles. The user must manually recompress the spring under stress prior to each shot, typically by pulling back the slide, pistols, bolt handle, rifles, or for end pump, shotguns, on the weapon, which cocks and readies the gun. Because of this, spring guns are incapable of automatic or semi-automatic firing by design. Spring-powered airsoft guns are generally not as powerful as gas-powered ones, but are more powerful than electric airsoft guns because stiffer springs can often be used without the worry of overloading any motor gearbox. Although some spring shotguns and bolt-action rifles can be very powerful with muzzle velocities up to 400-700 feet/s, 122-10 m/s. Spring guns are generally inexpensive, except the high-power sniper rifles and shotguns, and may not last long, depending on the build quality, due to the tension exerted on the gun parts by the recoiling of a powerful spring. However, many spring guns can be modified and upgraded to last longer and shoot more powerfully. While most electric airsoft guns also use springs to drive the air pump and propel the pellets, they use external power sources and are not considered to be in the same category as the single-shot manual spring guns. Low-end spring guns tend to be much cheaper than their electric equivalents due to their simplicity and lack of electrical components, electric motor/actuator, spring gearbox assembly, as well as battery and battery charger, and thus are widely available. These guns are less suited for competition because they are at a rate of fire disadvantage against automatic guns in close combat and do not provide enough accuracy and power for long-range use. There are some exceptions, however, as higher-end spring-powered airsoft rifles can be quite expensive. These guns are typically suited for marksman applications in airsoft matches and provide competitive muzzle velocities. Additionally, pump shotguns are sometimes used for both short and longer range engagements. In colder weather, spring pistols are more reliable than gas-powered pistols and even the batteries on automatic electric pistols, AEPs, both of which can be adversely affected by extreme low temperatures. This represents one of the major advantages of spring airsoft gun, as it can be fired in practically any situations without relying on batteries or bottled gas. This independence from external power sources causes some players to favor spring-powered guns. Spring guns are also less susceptible to the effects of water, where a battery-powered gun could short-circuit and malfunction when wet. Spring-powered weapons are often cheaper than electric or gas-powered weapons. They are also more readily available in most department stores. Because of their low price, availability, and simplicity, spring guns tend to act as training guns to bring new players to airsoft games and are considered the primary weapon of backyard skirmishes. In the UK, they are affectionately known as springers and were often a player's introduction to the sport due to the entry-level cost in comparison to AEG and GBB weapons. Almost all airsoft players at some point owned a spring weapon, whether for its actual use in a competitive event or for the replica value, since some airsoft weapons are only available as spring versions. However, some veteran airsoft players still rely on sniper rifle and shotgun type spring guns as a primary weapon due to their reliability, high power, high accuracy, and low noise, as well as their ease of repair and modification compared to AEGs and GBB guns. To be eligible to purchase a spring-powered airsoft gun in the United States, a person has to be of at least 10 years of age. Battery-powered. Automatic electric guns. Electrically powered airsoft guns use a spring-loaded piston pump just like spring guns, but instead of manual operation they typically use portable rechargeable battery packs to power an internal electric motor, which transmit through a gearbox to compress the pump spring and propel/load the pellets in a cyclic fashion. Selective fire options among automatic, 3-round burst and semi-automatic operations are all possible, which gives these guns the popular name automatic electric guns, or AEGs. These guns often attain muzzle velocities from 150 to 650 feet/s, 46 to 198 m/s, and rates of fire, ROF, between 100 and 1,500 rounds per minute. They are the most commonly used and widely available type of airsoft gun. The AEGs were developed in Japan and the Japanese company Tokyo Marui is credited with creating the original gearbox system. In a Tokyo Marui AEG, the motor drives a train of 3 gears mounted inside a gearbox, which then loads a pump piston against a spring. Once the spring is released, it pushes the piston plunger forward through the pump cylinder to propel a pellet resting within the chamber forward through the barrel and out of the muzzle. Many manufacturers have now more or less replicated this basic model, adding reinforced parts or minor improvements. The electric airsoft guns were powered primarily by nickel metal hydride, NiMH, batteries with varying voltages and milliampere-hour ratings. The most common battery is an 8.4V large battery pack, with a capacity between 2,200 and 5,000 mAh. Also available are mini and stick batteries, which generally have 900–1,600 mAh capacities. Voltages for NiMH batteries range from 7.2V to 12V. The usual rule of thumb is that the higher the mAh rating, the longer the battery lasts, the higher the voltage, the higher the rate of fire. Recently, however, the more energy-dense lithium polymer, LiPo, batteries are becoming more popular in the airsoft world, since they last longer, have higher mAh and voltages, and can be charged more frequently without concerns for voltage depression, while at the same time being small and lightweight. LiPo batteries are usually rated at 7.4V or 11.1V, and varying between 500 mAh and 6,500 mAh. External modifications, such as metal bodies and reinforced plastics that make AEGs look and feel even more realistic, have become very popular. AEG manufacturers such as Classic Army and Tokyo Marui produce replicas that are visually nearly identical to their real counterparts. Tokyo Marui uses an ABS plastic, whereas Classic Army features full metal-bodied guns and stronger furnishings. Most AEGs produced as of late are designed to be as visually realistic as possible. The 3 most common AEGs on the field are the AR-15 series, such as M16 rifle, M4 carbine, etc., sometimes referred to as the Armalite or Colt series, the HNK MP5 series, and the AK or Kalashnikov series. Also increasing popular is the HNK G36 and more recently, FNP90 and HNK MP7. Subsequently, numerous parts for repairs and modifications are commonly available for these rifles. AEG models range from a simple pistol to a rocket-propelled grenade all the way to a minigun. Low-powered electric guns. Some airsoft guns are called low-powered electric guns, LPEGs, to distinguish them from the original, more expensive and more powerful AEGs even though their mechanical/electrical design and operation is similar. They are not to be confused with mini-electrics, described below. Originally they were only of novelty value, often regarded below spring-operated guns due to their construction and low velocities. Since there are spring-action guns that can notably outperform the true low-end LPEGs and can be found at comparable prices, they are generally considered to be better choices. Medium-price electric guns. Some companies like UTG with their popular MP5 and AK-47 models have improved their quality to such an extent that some models are now considered simply as mid-ranged AEGs that are more affordable but still reasonably effective. Among airsofters, these are commonly called middle-priced electric guns, MPEGs. Sometimes, MPEGs are copies or clones of designs by full-price manufacturers like Tokyo Marui. As of late 2008 a small number of MPEG brands such as Echo One/Jinggong, and Sima are considered by many to approach the quality and match the performance of the originals, at less than half the price. Fully compatible MPEGs imitate the Marui or classic Army originals so precisely that standard upgrade parts will work with them, making it possible to hot rod an MPEG to well beyond stock out-of-the-box AEG performance. Electric blowbacks. Electric blowbacks, also known as EBs, are high-end AEGs which generally run from a rechargeable 9.6-volt battery. Most models utilizing this system are rifles. EBs simulate the blowback action of a real pistol or rifle but generally have less of a kick. Essentially an AEG in design, EBs are just as powerful. However, a drawback to having the blowback feature is that the battery is quickly depleted. Additionally, blowbacks can cause extra stress on the gearbox which may result in the gearbox's shorter lifespan. The blowback system can be disabled with some tinkering. Electric blowback can also refer to a feature in some higher-end guns which offers more realistic operation. Companies such as G&G now offer guns such as the Combat Machine M4 and the Combat Machine RK-47 which has moving parts linked directly to the main mechanism of the gun, such as the bolt. Echo One has recently released a blowback MP5 SD. Also, APS, Accuracy Pneumatics Shooting, makes EB M4A1, M4 Commando, and the AK-47. The M4S also have 3 others with an RIS unit. These weapons perform identically to similar non-blowback offerings, with the added realism of reciprocating bolts and some recoil. Most models incorporate pneumatic blowback systems but some feature mechanical systems. Mini electrics. Recently, the company well known for its spring guns, began manufacturing a range of battery-powered guns in miniature size that fire only full automatic. They differ from GPMGs in that they are not replicas of real firearms, being miniaturized version of real firearms, mostly made of black or clear plastic. They have a small BB capacity, usually between 50 and 100 rounds, but they have fair range and a functional hop-up. They have become very popular in recent years, and are now being manufactured by Tokyo Marui. These minis, as they are referred to, are not a viable option in games against AEGs since their small ammo capacity, short range, and poor far-range accuracy leave their wielder at a large disadvantage. Mini electric guns are able to compete with spring pistols at close ranges however, primarily due to their higher rate of fire. Automatic electric pistols. Automatic electric pistols, abbreviated AEPs, were first introduced by Tokyo Marui in 2005 with their Glock 18C, followed later by a Beretta 93R model. They were the first handguns to incorporate an electrically powered system that is capable of fully automatic operation. In cold weather, AEPs are often considered better sidearms than gas-powered pistols, because batteries are not as badly affected by frigid weather. Gases like CO2 and green gas are stored in liquid form and require heat in order to vaporize. A gas pistol at 10 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees C, will usually only get 1 to 2 usable shots from a full magazine, and even will be at reduced power because of the lowered pressure of the gas. Because the AEP gearbox and battery are smaller, the velocity of AEP BBS, usually between 200 and 280 feet/s, 85.3 m/s, is relatively slow by the standards of airsoft simulations, rendering them useful only for close-range simulation. However, the advanced hop-up units on these new guns tend to compensate for the low power and can produce an effective range comparable to those of an AEG. Cyma has made a clone Glock 18C, which is a lower-priced alternative. An AEP differs from electric blowbacks because the AEP has a fixed slide, in which there is no external movement of the slide during operation, while an EB simulates the blowback action in the slide experienced in a real pistol or gas blowback, GBB. An AEP, however, has much more power and accuracy. One of the newer AEP-styled guns is the Marui replica of the Heckler & Koch MP7. It is considerably larger than either of the other guns, and can be upgraded to a much higher power through the use of an external battery, but uses the same system as the AEP, so the classification is ambiguous. It is slightly more powerful than the others and is a suitable choice for CQB, close quarter battle, games due to its small size and decent barrel-to-gun length ratio. Some semi-automatic pistols can be modified to be automatic pistols. To make them more effective, they use rechargeable batteries supplied with the gun, and can be replaced with a larger battery to make their ROF higher. Due to restrictions on size, either the electric motor or batteries have to occupy space in the hand grip, reducing the available space for a magazine. Because of this, most AEPs do not use a full-size magazine found in most gas-powered pistols. In addition, most AEPs are constructed almost entirely of plastic and have a light, toy-like feeling to them. Gas-powered. Gas blowback. Gas-powered airsoft guns use the pneumatic potential energy stored within compressed gas to drive the shooting mechanism, and thus operate according to an entirely different design principle to spring or electrically powered airsoft guns. The most common type seen is the gas blowback, GBB, guns. These gas guns use an internal canister, usually within the magazine, that upon trigger pull releases the pre-filled bottled gas via a series of valves to propel the pellet and generate a blowback, which simulates recoil and cyclically loads the next shot. They are capable of both automatic and semi-automatic operation. The most common gases used are green gas and propane, which requires an adapter. HFC 134A is also commonly used, particularly with pistols which have plastic sliders due to the lower pressure giving a smaller chance of damage to the weaker slide. Less commonly used gases include red gas, which is actually HCFC-22, CO2, and nitrogen/high pressure air. However, it is unlawful to use HCFC-22 as a propellant in the US, as it is a Class II ozone-depleting substance and its use as an aerosol propellant has been banned since January 1994 under Section 610(d) of Clean Air Act. Red gas is usually avoided unless the airsoft gun has undergone modification, as its relatively high critical pressure can cause damage to the airsoft gun, such as breakage of the slide or bolt. CO2, nitrogen, and high-pressure air are less common because they need to be stored at higher pressures than green gas or HFC 134A. The first ever gas-powered airsoft guns were commonly referred to as classic guns, owing to their age. These guns were most commonly powered by liquid propellants such as R12, which was marketed by the Japanese as Flan 12 or DuPont trade name Freon 12, CFC feeding system with a majority of the configurations containing two tanks, one containing the R12 and one used as an expansion tank, and the gun itself. R12 was a commonly used refrigerant for car air conditioning and refrigerators, and is considered a highly potent ozone-depleting substance and listed as a Class I ozone-depleting substance by the US EPA. Its use as a general-purpose aerosol propellant has been banned by the US EPA since March 1978 under 43 FR 11301 for use in aerosol use with a very few exceptions. Its use is also banned in many countries under United Nations treaties. On December 31, 2008, the use of CFCs for medical inhalers were banned. Later users modified these old guns to be powered by regulated CO2 canisters or nitrogen/high pressure air bottles to increase power and consistency. However, these guns have largely been superseded by the newer and more versatile AEGs, or automatic electric guns. One of the reasons for this is because the most commonly available propellant, R12, is costly. Additionally, at high flow rates, liquid propellants tend to cool down, eventually freezing. As cooldown progresses, the rate of fire gradually decreases until the gun ceases operation. The user would then be forced to wait for the propellant to warm up again. CO2 is not affected as badly by this tendency, and nitrogen/high pressure air is immune to it. Furthermore, if liquid propellant is introduced into the gun's mechanism, rubber parts can freeze and eventually damage the gun. However, it is unlikely for this to occur since once the gas is released from the containing cylinder it instantly turns back into its gaseous state, and expands rapidly. It is doubtful whether the retained pressure behind the BB before it begins to accelerate down the barrel is enough to keep the gas in a liquid form. Also, any gun that is expected to be exposed to the intense cold of depressurizing gas should have materials that can handle it. Gas power tends to be used in airsoft pistols where size constraints make electric-powered mechanisms impractical. Other instances where gas is favored are where adjustable velocities are required or where a blowback feature is desired. A blowback feature is a mechanism which cycles a slide or bolt to better simulate a real firearms operation. Because of the mechanical complexities involved with distributing and regulating gas, these guns have largely given way to electric guns for less specialized applications. However, they still remain favorable amongst most airsofters. They are not just limited to pistols. Submachine guns, sniper rifles, and assault rifles commonly use gas mechanisms. Whilst the submachine gun replicas typically feature a blowback mechanism similar to the pistol replicas, sniper rifle replicas usually omit the blowback mechanism in favor of reduced recoil and increased muzzle velocity. Along with using gas to power guns, it is also applied for use in replica grenades. These grenades are either projectiles, fired from a grenade launcher such as the M203 or GP25, or throwable. The shells work on the system of an internal piston, filled with gas. Either a series of BBs or in some cases a rubber or soft foam head is seated in or on top of the shell. When the pressure is released, the projectiles are shot from the launcher sent down range. In the case of the throwable grenades, inside the grenade there is a similar piston to the one used in the shells, but is on a literal timer that allows the user to clear the area of effect. BBs or powder act as the projectile in the case of these grenades. Currently both types of grenades are not very common, mostly because grenade launchers are quite expensive and the throwable grenades are not very reliable. High-pressure air systems. High-pressure air, HPA, systems are a type of pneumatic airsoft weapon that use externally supplied high-pressure air instead of internal gas canisters like the majority of gas-operated airsoft guns. They work by using a separate high-pressure air tank that is connected to the airsoft gun with a hose, which is connected with a pneumatic motor inside the gun, called an engine, at where the gearbox would be in a normal electric airsoft gun. The engine is powered by a fire control unit that can adjust to the desired rates of fire as well as the dwell that determines how much air is released with each individual shot. There are several types of HPA systems and they vary in both price and performance. Popular HPA brands and engines include Polarstar, Fusion Engine, F1, Jack, Wolverine, Hydra, Bolt, Inferno, Wraith, SMP, Valken, V12, and Tipman, M4 Carbine. It is not definitive which style is more effective. It is more up to personal preference. Hybrid guns. Hybrid airsoft guns are the newest type of airsoft guns on the market. They are basically standard AEGs or GBB guns with a little extra reality built in, and are usually more powerful. AEG hybrid operation. The magazine is loaded with shell cases, each containing a single plastic pellet. These shell casings can have a small red cap, the same as those found in any child's toy cap gun placed on the top of them. These hybrid guns feature an electrically powered, full blowback system and operate on a round per shell basis such that for every pellet fired, a shell casing is ejected and the cap is fired, providing a realistic sound and smoke effect. Since its debut, the only hybrid guns seen on the market are Top M4A1, as well as M1 Garand, KAR-98, and other rifle models. These guns are the least common type of gun on the market today and are generally used by collectors and reenactors rather than skirmishers. Gas blowback hybrid operation. Hybrid gas blowback airsoft guns are quite similar with hybrid AEGs, and their operations are similar with ordinary gas blowback airsoft guns. A single 6mm pellet is still loaded to a shell casing. Then it is placed into a magazine. The airsoft replica itself also has a tank for compressed gas as propellant, such as green gas. So as the slide/bolt is pulled back, it loads a shell into the chamber. As the trigger is pulled, it releases a small burst of propellant and the pellet is forced out the barrel. Training weapons. Airsoft gun manufacturer Systema Engineering, PTW, developed a line of airsoft guns and accessories intended for military and law enforcement training. These airsoft guns are made of aircraft-grade aluminum combined with stainless steel parts that gives strength, stability, weather protection, and easy maintenance. These training weapons offer a more realistic display of military weapons. Unfortunately, they have been plagued by reliability problems and parts availability. They have also had models banned from the US for being capable of being converted into real firearms. Two manufacturers, King Arms and Qua, came out with ATF-approved gas blowback AR-15 replicas that allowed for correct weapons tear down, manipulation and function that were designed for military use, but were also legal for US citizens to own. The King Arms model required upgrade parts out of the parts to give it reliability, though the Qua was plagued by a weak hop-up system, but otherwise reliable. Classic guns. Classic airsoft guns are usually the older variety of airsoft guns which are gas-powered, though in the recent past other manufacturers have found interest in them. Unlike the gas rifles of today, they can run on either an internal tank using conventional airsoft gas or use an external CO2 or HPA tank much like a paintball gun. These type of guns generally cost considerably more than the standard AEGs. Some models, such as those made by the Sun Project, feature a type of recoil provided by these guns. The rate of fire on these can be regulated by the amount of air being fed through the system, versus using different battery voltages in an AEG. Other manufacturers, for example, are Polarstar Airsoft and Daytona Gun. Equipment related to the airsoft gun. Sights. Optical sights are fairly common for use on airsoft rifles, mostly red dot sights for short-range use, and telescopic sights for longer-range use. These range from inexpensive sights designed for use on pellet guns and .22 rifles, to mid-range sights, usually inexpensive replicas of actual rifle sights, such as replicas of the M68 Aimpoang, Advanced Combat Optical Gun Sight, ACOG, and imitation holographic weapon sights that are actually just red dot sights, to actual sights designed for use on rifles, including the EOTech holographic sights, and the Trigicon ACOGs. Replica, or clone, sights are much cheaper than their real counterparts, but are usually unlicensed, much less durable and reliable, and should not be used with real firearms where violent recoil may damage them or throw the sight off zero. Most optical sights are mounted on a MIL STD 1913 rail, while other guns, including replicas of Kalashnikovs, MP5S, and G36S may have specific proprietary mounts. Magazines. Magazines are usually realistic-looking replicas of real firearms magazines and as such are made of the same materials like stamped metal or high-impact plastic. They occasionally feature markings and slash or engravings that match or mimic their real counterparts. Airsoft Ma.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.